Greetings folks, today I am bringing you an update for my magical Pew Pew dual wield build. Unfortunately the build was too strong and Tidepiercer got fixed. It's really a shame because I really like that build, but a lot have changed. This build is based around Tidepiercer, a magical sword from Act 1 that will shoot out mana projectiles equivalent to 150% of its weapon damage, alongside Sunfire shortsword. Is one of the most unique weapon in this game. However, this is not a mage build or an hybrid build if you want to cast spells. I have another build for that. We instead cap our critical strike and build up on strength to increase our melee damage. A full strength version is possible, but I don't think it was nearly as strong. In this video we'll showcase everything from gear, its location, skill tree, attributes. However, there is also gonna be a link in the description to Map Genie that you can use to find most of the item in this build, in case you don't want to hear me rant. Okay, let's begin. Okay, let's look at our gear. There is only one item that is mandatory for this build, and I guess you already know which one, Tidepiercer. While yes, you could play this build with double Sunfire sword, I did not try to do that, so I cannot give you an opinion. If you want to do that, and it works for you, let me know. Tidepiercer is an Act 1 sword, pretty easy to get, doesn't have insane gear requirement because it's an early weapon. This build will scale with two things. We want to cap our critical chance as soon as possible. This is a melee dual wield build because our damage of the sword, Tidepiercer, is gonna be modified by melee damage. For relics, I would suggest melee damage or anything that will pretty much increase the tooltip. You can pair Tidepiercer with a large variety of weapon. If you want to play as the original build, you can use Sunfire shortsword. It's very similar to Tidepiercer, and the AoE wave is gonna be, in my opinion, slightly bigger. If you do not want to use shortsword, you can use duelist blade during leveling. This will help you greatly. However, you will need to put 1 point more of dexterity than I did. Alternative is Smuggler Knife. Stats wise, it's the best option, but you will need to go through a lot of troubleshooting. You will have to lower your weight of your gear. You will have to use maximum dash items, especially one is gonna be the Craft the Wolf Clock in Act 1 that will give you an extra dash. And then you want to use Dual Knight, and this item will need to be lowered weight-wise. However, I feel that for this build especially, it's not necessary to go through all the trouble, because the damage is good. As you're not a fully melee build anyway, you have a layer of safety that a lot of melee builds do not have. Now, Smuggler Knife is from Act 2. Location is gonna be in the timestamp below of all the items. For the rest of the items, for helmet, you have two options in my opinion. One is gonna be Sir Gawain. The location of the Gawain set is here. You need to finish Act 2 main story and go in the crypt. Gawain is quite easy to maintain, it's helpful if you're low on crit, and especially when you are lower level, it helps a lot. After you meet your crit requirement, you can use Crow. Will give you a lot of damage, a lot of attack speed. For relics on gear, just use stamina, maximum health. For chest, Percival, also from Act 2, main story. Issue with Percival is that it's very heavy, so if you want to use Smuggler Knife, you can use Lancelot, Gawain, the usual one. For gloves, I recommend Dual Knight gloves from Abigor in Act 1. It will help a lot with stamina management, and it does give you a lot of melee damage with upgrades. For back item, in the base game you will struggle with crit, or you don't want to get Crow or whatever, use Gawain, and then here you don't have to craft yourself the Winged Cavalier. The location is gonna be here. You need to do a quest for Atli, which is an NPC. It's really not hard to get, but you need to craft it, so up to you. Otherwise, Ashen Veil I really like in the current state, however it comes pretty late in the base game. For rings, Swordsman Amulet, I would use both in New Game Plus. If you are struggling with crit, use Perilous Orbs. For Amulet, if you're low on crit, you can make yourself the Stone Warden Talisman. This is from the Blacksmith questline in Act 2, after you rescue the boy from the mine. Otherwise, you can get Amulet of Novice Ogre Hunter, which will give you a lot of damage in New Game Plus and 33% damage in the base game. The location is here. It's just a mini boss you need to kill, not that hard. For pants, Crow, but before using Crow, the alternative will be, well, you can use Dual Knight Trouser from the second Duelist in Act 2, or The Fledgling breaches. I use the Fledgling breaches for the entire of the base game because crit is low. This is also from the Children of Morrigan, like the cross set, but you get the Fledgling before the cross set, because for the cross set, it's literally the last quest of the Morrigan storyline in Act 3. For boots, Crow, or if you are good with crit, remember all these items can be changed and replaced. This is the good thing about this build. All items can be replaced. You can even not use Crow if you go for Gawain. Gawain boots are good critical damage, 25, and the 90% health, it will be at all time because we have life leech on this build. Okay, these are my final stats. We put a lot of points in perception. We can put less points in perception, but we will need more sources of critical strike. If you want, you can play this build with 80% critical strike, thanks to critical cascade. We will get critical strike while hitting, however, we do not attack super fast on this build, so I would rather prefer for our critical chance to be in the range of 90 to 100. Now, let me quickly pop Origin Potion, and I will allocate points. The minimum requirement for our gear, or at least most of it. It's gonna be 5 points of strength, 3 points of dexterity, 5 points of spirituality. These are the minimum requirement to use the Tidepiercer. Without it, it will do nothing for us. Afterward, in Act 1, focus on getting at least 6 points of strength and endurance. At least 3 points of perception, even if you do not want to invest heavily in perception. If you use the Sunfire's short sword, you will need 3 points of perception. 3 points of practicality can be taken early or later, it's up to you. Let's raise dexterity to 8. If you want to use the duelist blade, you can put this to 9. Strength to 10, endurance to 10. I would say prefer strength at the start a little bit, and then 15 endurance. If you want to use the Smuggler Knife, then you need to focus perception earlier. Put this to 10, otherwise you cannot use it. 3 points in practicality, 15, 15. 8 point in Act 2, and afterward you can tailor your critical chance depending on it. Okay, let's look at our skill tree while leveling. This build is a melee build, so keep this in mind. 4 points of Godly Physique immediately, Weapons of the Great Theft. Then we go in one-handed because this is technically a dual-wield build, because it is. Unending Assault, Powerful Blows. We do not drain stamina at range. What you can do, especially on bosses, you attack at range, you dash in melee, or drain their stamina, and then you can finally benefit from Executioner. If you do not want to go melee in this build, then Executioner is gonna be useless to you. You have no way to stagger enemies. 3 points in Unstoppable Momentums. This will help with stamina management a little easier. Then we're gonna go in Dexterity, 1 point in Strong Arm of the Bowmaster, and 3 points in Marksman. 1 point in Agility, 1 point in Fast Reflexes, 1 point in Temporal Sleep. Temporal Sleep works in this way. This is our get out of jail free card. This makes our build play more like a rogue. While you sprint, if you crouch, you will slide time for 2 seconds. This can be done as many times as you want. If you're playing with Smuggler Knife, put 1 point in Athletic build, well, of course. Otherwise, that is a no-no. Spirituality for spirituality. So, mana battery will become a necessity if you're wearing full Percival because of mana shield. So, if you get damaged, your mana is gonna be drained. You don't need that much mana. I will still put a couple of points if you want. We go in Perception. If you already decide, okay, I want to play with Smuggler Knife because I love a knife or whatever. 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, and then you max this one back then, or you stay with 1, up to you. Otherwise, if you don't want to play with Smuggler Knife, don't bother. 3 points in Extra Lucky to help with crit, 1 point in Critical Cascade, 1 point in Respite, 2 points in Critical Age. These will mitigate a lot of damage taken because we crit a lot. Bloodthirst is gonna be our self-healing, however, the self-healing on this build is gonna be weaker. We don't attack as fast. Then we're gonna go in Practicality, max that Born in Armor. This is essential, especially in New Game Plus, when we get a minus 50 to our base armor. So, yeah. Inner Strength, so we convert Endurance in melee damage. 1 point in Armored Skin, max that Best Offense. We go in Red Death, by now you're in Act 2. If you're playing Veteran or you're playing New Game Plus, you need Plague Warden. In Red Death, 1 point in Crime Pain, 1 point in Whip Success, 2 points in Long Regret. Then we max here, then we max here, Then we give up. Now we go back in the perception tree. 2 points in deep wounds. These will allow us to apply bleed. 3 points for damage. We go back in red death. 3 points in generating stacks with damage. 3 points in old back tears just to speed up the process. 3 points in increased vitality for more health. 2 points in respite and cruelty, so we get more stamina back. In practicality, we go in the healing tree. I like to grab Healthy Appetite. Vengeful Restoration will help a little bit with life leech. 3 points in rejuvenation. All Mother Blessing, but we are not here for all Mother Blessing, we are here for Unnatural Resilience. Go for the eyes. Now, if you want, you can take Go for the eyes earlier. Ambidextrous can be taken earlier if you want. Now, if you're playing with Smuggler Knife, you should get Adaptive Combat much earlier, as soon as you go in the dual wield tree, because 20% physical damage. Otherwise, you will put a point here. If you're playing with Smuggler Knife, you will need also to get endurance training. This will make the armor weight process much cheaper on you. It's 50% overall reduction, so otherwise you don't need this one. As you can see, Smuggler Knife will take a lot more points than you otherwise you can save them up. So if I'm taking Smuggler Knife, what points do I give up? Well, if you're taking Smuggler Knife, sacrifice the practicality tree, pretty much. Sacrifice point here, sacrifice here, sacrifice the best offense, sacrifice armored skin. If necessary, sacrifice bone in armor if you don't have enough points. Do not, however, sacrifice red death, because red death is a lot of damage. Last few points, quickened strikes, onslaught for more attack speed. You can put more points in the dual wield tree. You can take invigorating dance if you want, debilitating blow if you want, but I don't think you need to. You can put 2 points in Swift and Fierce, will make mobility during combat much easier.
If you're, well, it's just, but I spent the, in,
Alright, people that watch my guides are probably bored of hearing me talking about the Children of Morrigan quest at every video, but here we are again. You save Vidar, then you want to follow Vidar. But when you meet Vidar at the village, you will meet another rogue named Self. You want to side with Self for the entirety of the Children of Morrigan quest line. That is pretty much the way to get this gear. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and maybe consider even subscribing for more content, RPG, gaming, I don't know, whatever. If you have any questions or doubts or you tried the build, let me know how it worked out for you. And I will see you in the next video.